A rare Amur tiger that was severely injured and was on the verge of death, but doctors decided to do everything possible to save its life. A tiger that was stuck in an abandoned well, and a crane had to be used to save it. And also a tiger whose paw had to be amputated, but the doctors decided to do everything possible to prevent this and return the tiger to the wild. I am going to tell you 5 amazing stories of tigers that needed human help. Number 5. A truck driver noticed a rare Amur tiger near the road. At first, he was even a little frightened, but then he realized that the tiger was injured and practically did not move. He decided to call a wildlife rescue service. When the rescue team went to the site, they quickly found bloody footprints on the tiger's rookery. But something was wrong. Instead of 4 paw prints, there were only 3. The rescuers used the footprints to trace the tiger's location. One thing was clear: the tiger was wounded and could die without human help. Soon, the rescuers spotted the tiger asleep in the snow. They slowly approached it and fired a sleeping dart so that they had a chance to examine the wounded animal. After the shot, the tiger tried to attack the rescuers, but they lit a torch which scared off the predator. Soon, the tiger fell asleep. They brought the animal to the mobile hospital where the injuries were examined. This rare Amur tigress had been wounded by poachers. One bullet hit her paw and broke it, another hit her tail, but the most severe wound was to her stomach. Time was against the rescuers, and they had to act quickly. The operation was performed right away, and all the bullets were removed. Unfortunately, that was the end of the video. But I am very curious about what happened next to the poor animal, and I had a lump in my throat when I heard the end of the story. The tiger underwent another operation because it was bleeding internally after the bullet was removed. At first, the animal recovered and lived in the sanctuary under the supervision of volunteers, but unfortunately, after about 2 months, the tiger got worse. The animal refused food and water and soon died. Unfortunately, not all the stories end well. I'm not going to talk about poachers because a lot has been said about these bad people before me. I only hope that they will be found and punished. But I want to thank these good people who did their best to save this rare tiger. Rest in peace. Number 4. Unfortunately, this story happened also because of poachers, but I'll tell you in advance, everything ended well. A man named John noticed a little tiger trapped in a wire trap. God knows how many hours or maybe even days this tiger cub spent in this trouble. The baby tiger was about 12 to 15 weeks old, but it was already very dangerous. John and his friend, who was making a video of everything that was happening, decided to help the tiger cub. When the tiger cub spotted the humans, it tried to escape, but the wire was firmly embedded in its flesh.
Yeah, set the camera.
John strokes the tiger several times to get it used to the man a little. John's friend presses the tiger to the ground with a stick in his hand, then pulls its tail. Unfortunately, the first attempt was unsuccessful. Then something happened that I definitely did not expect. John simply grabbed the tiger with his hand and pressed the animal to the ground.
Right, now, take it down. Take it down. Take it down.
After a while, number 3 managed to remove the wire and save the poor tiger cub. Now only the last part of the rescue remains. How can John remove his hand and not be bitten by the tiger, who is clearly upset by the whole situation? Unfortunately, the very moment when John removed his hand is not in the video. In the next shot, we see the tiger lying on the ground, and it finally realizes that he is no longer trapped, and the baby tiger runs away.
Gone down the antbear hole.
I'm so glad everything ended well in this story. Well done, John. Number 3. This tiger lived peacefully in the wild, but then something happened to his paw. It now has multiple fractures. We don't know either who spotted the injured animal or how it was brought to the vets, but it happened, and now the doctors have to assess the seriousness of the injuries. Unfortunately, the tiger's paw is too badly injured, and some doctors advise amputating it. This is most often the solution in such cases. But still, it is decided to perform a unique operation to implant a titanium construction into the tiger's paw in order to preserve the mobility of the joint. The vets work together with regular doctors, and it is the first operation in the world. Amazing, but despite severe injuries, the paw is saved. After some time, the tiger is released into the reserve. Fortunately, the tiger's paw had fully recovered its functions, and the titanium implant does not prevent the tiger from walking and hunting. Soon the tiger should return back to the wild. Hats off to these heroic doctors who, in my opinion, performed a real miracle by saving the paw of this beautiful and rare Amur tiger. Number 2. Locals heard a strange sound coming from an abandoned well. When they got closer, they saw a tiger that had fallen inside. People decided to call a wildlife rescue service. A few hours later, the rescue team arrived. They prepared darts with sleeping pills to be able to get the tiger out of the trap. So, the man shot a dart with a sleeping pill. The tiger only looked at the men confused, but fell asleep after a few minutes. The rescue operation began. People brought up a crane to pull the tiger up, as it would have been very difficult to pull the adult male out only by hand. 2 rescuers descended to the bottom of the well, where they tied the tiger with ropes. The crane winch started working, and soon the tiger was pulled to the surface. He was cleaned of dirt and examined by a vet who found no injuries. The tiger was later released into the wild away from this place, and a large grate was placed on the well so that no more animals would fall in. Number 1. And this story begins when the tiger has already been shot with a sleeping dart. But what has happened? Thank God this time the poachers were not to blame. People noticed an animal in the taiga that was crawling because its hind legs had failed. Because of this, the animal could no longer hunt and likely would have died. Luckily, the wildlife rescue crew decided to intervene. The rescuers quickly arrived on the scene and found the wounded animal, then shot the tiger with a dart loaded with sleeping pills. The animal fell asleep, and the vets could examine the hind legs and find out the reason why they had failed. At first, they thought it was due to an infectious disease, but then they found tang marks. Most likely, the tiger had attacked a wild boar, and the wild boar had struck the tiger directly in the spinal cord, which caused the tiger's hind legs to fail. There are very few details of this story on the internet, but I was able to find out that the tiger is currently alive, although in great pain, and some vets advise to put the animal to sleep. For now, the tiger lives in a reserved territory where people give it painkillers and try to make it walk again. Let's hope all will end well in this story. Also, I will tell you 6 stories of koala rescues. For instance, about a koala whose house completely burned down and it just went out to people asking them for help. Click on the video to see stories of koalas who needed human help. See you there!